Hello, this is Marley G. Burnell, and welcome to my video ePortfolio presentation, where for the next few minutes I will discuss the portfolio exhibits that I performed throughout my previous classes and explain to them which program and institutional outcome they support and why they support those outcomes. I first would like to discuss the institutional outcomes in which portfolio projects or exhibits meet those outcomes, and then I will explain to them why. So the first outcome that I would like to discuss is one of the institutional outcomes, which is, excuse me, relational learning, which is transferring knowledge, skills, and behaviors acquired through formal and informal learning and life experiences to new situations. Now, the exhibit that I believe most qualifies for that outcome is the exhibit that I took in Principles of Psychology. There, I wrote a research paper about what is ADHD. And I chose that because in the workplace today, there are going to be situations in which you may have to encounter dealing with a person who has ADHD. And that relates in management because as a manager, you have to be able to deal with people's different behaviors and different psychological issues that they may have. And having ADHD is a type of psychological issue. It is a psychological disorder. So how to effectively motivate and teach that individual who has ADHD would be very different versus motivating someone who does not have ADHD. And so I felt as though this research paper about ADHD very closely matched this institutional outcome of transferring knowledge, skills, and behaviors acquired through formal and informal learning, because you need to be able to learn how to deal with someone who has ADHD, not just in the workplace, but outside the workplace as well. Another institutional outcome that I have selected was the quantitative and scientific reasoning outcome, which is following established methods of inquiry and mathematical reasoning to form conclusions and make decisions. And I chose for that one Survey of Mathematics. I took that class because I wanted to discuss about student loan budgeting. Now that is very important about student loan budgeting because you have to have some type of mathematical reasoning to form conclusions, especially when it comes to student loans. You got to be able to budget because once you graduate, you got to be able to pay that money back. So being able to use your mathematical skills to budget, come up with a game plan so that you can successfully repay that student loan is very important. And that ties into the workplace because as a manager, especially a higher manager, you got to be able to budget. You got to be able to know what to spend, what you can't spend. Bills are going to come around, accounts, payable, receivable. You got to be able to know how to stay within your budget in a company. Companies like it when you're firm and can handle the company's finances because there's too much corruption, financial scandals that exist in the workplace today. So being able to come up with decisions using your mathematical skills and knowledge comes quite in handy in the workplace today. And this is an example of why I chose this, because I wanted to showcase the mathematical reasoning just when it comes to student loans. So if you can explain that for student loans, then you can explain that in the company setting when you have to deal with company finances and budgets, company budgets, fiscal budgets, and the whole 9 yards. So this is very important, and that is why I chose that as my outcome of why I supported it. I wanted to also discuss some program outcomes. I talked about the institutional outcomes for Bryan and Stratton College, but now I want to talk about the program outcomes. I'm currently pursuing an associate's degree in business, and in that, there are certain program outcomes that must be met when you as well. And one of them that I would like to discuss is to identify and apply the basic functions of management, such as staffing, planning, organizing, controlling, and leading to the decision-making process. So I figure that the exhibit that I believe most certainly qualifies for that is the management principles. I had to do a paper about motivation, and I discussed motivation and its correlation with job performance. Now, it is very important in management that you can have the ability to motivate others to reach their potential. Being a manager and a leader, while you can construe it as the same, but sometimes it's not the same because there is a difference. To be a leader, you need to teach, you need to motivate. Being a manager is handling operations, handling the administrative function. But being a leader is being a teacher, explaining, being a motivator. Because after all, if we succeed, then the company succeeds. But in order to apply that basic function of management, of staffing and planning and organizing, that's why I chose this portfolio project. Because as a leader, you have to motivate. Well, you can't do that if you don't staff the right people so that you can motivate. If you don't organize and plan ahead to come up with a great game plan, and then all you have to do after that is just motivate, keep the motivation alive, let them know that you are the best and to deliver nothing but the best because you know their full potential and you know what they can do. And that's why I chose this exhibit, was to show that as a manager, if you plan and you organize and you staff the right people, then motivating them is very simple. Use your personality and to motivate others to reach their full potential, because that's what it's all about. Because in today's society, everything's pretty much performance based. So it's very important that you motivate others to want to do their best. And I chose this exhibit. I felt as though this exhibit, it was my best quality of work, and it applies in the workplace when you can sit there and motivate others to do the best. But if you ain't got the right people on board, some people can't be simply motivated. Some people just don't care. But it's finding the right people to motivate, to captivate them, to want to learn. And this is what motivation is. And that was what this paper was about in Management Principles, was about what is motivation. How does it relate to the job in terms of performance and productivity? And that's what this paper touched on, and it met this particular program outcome of identifying the basic functions of management. Because one of the functions of management is not only being a leader, but being a motivator, to help others, to teach others to do their best. So this is one of the outcomes that I felt was very important, and I chose this exhibit because I believe it very closely matches this particular outcome. Well, that will conclude my video ePortfolio presentation. I thank you in the studio audience for watching this video. I hope we've all learned something. I've definitely learned something just in all these classes that I've taken so far in the institutional and program outcomes. I've learned so much that I would definitely apply in the business workplace, because being a manager is not just doing administrative work. It's not just having the power over others, but it's being a leader. That's what's more important to me, being a leader. People will have more respect if you just simply be relatable, build that rapport, but at the same time, having the core management principles in business. And if you have the combination of the two, not only are you going to be a dynamic manager, but you're going to be a phenomenal leader. Thank you very much, and I hope you all have a great day and happy holidays.